Prepare to rethink everything you thought you knew. This is Mind Benders, your source for the most mind-twisting facts that will expand your understanding of the world. Let's bend some minds.
The Hook and the Enigma. What is the most isolated place on Earth? You might think of a remote island or the summit of an unclimbed mountain, but you would be wrong. The most profound isolation, the most complete and crushing darkness, lies thousands of meters beneath the surface of the ocean, under a pressure that would pulverize steel. It is a realm more alien than the moon, a world we have only just begun to explore. And it is in this abyss, in the absolute middle of nowhere, that we found something that should not exist. In 1964, the USNS Eltanin, an oceanographic research vessel, was charting the unknown seafloor west of Cape Horn. Its mission was scientific, methodical, even mundane, dragging a deep-sea camera along the bottom, taking photographs at set intervals to map the topography and catalog the strange, gelatinous life forms that thrive in eternal night. For months, the images were predictable: silt, rock, and the occasional ghostly fish, until photograph number 75, frame 313. When the film was developed, the scientists aboard the Eltanin fell silent. There, in the crushing blackness nearly 4 kilometers down, was an object of impossible geometry. It was a single, slender stalk rising from the seabed. From its apex, a sphere radiated a series of spokes, each ending in a smaller sphere, each bent at a perfect 90-degree angle. It looked for all the world like a piece of technology, a complex antenna, or perhaps a weapon. The object was utterly alone, perched on a seamount, a solitary geometric sentinel in a world of organic chaos. The pressure at that depth is over 5,700 pounds per square inch. No known civilization, ancient or modern, possessed the technology to place such a delicate structure there. So the question that echoed through the silent halls of oceanographic institutes was not just, what is it, but a far more terrifying one: who put it there? The discovery of what would come to be known as the Eltanin Antenna was not announced with a triumphant press conference. It was published quietly, almost secretively, in scientific journals. But the image was too strange, too provocative to remain hidden. It ignited a firestorm of speculation that has burned for over half a century, a mystery that plunges us into the deepest questions of our own history and our place in the universe. Part 2. The first clues emerge. Let's examine the evidence, just as the original scientists did. The object stands approximately 2 feet high. The structure is strikingly symmetrical. 12 spokes radiate from a central hub, each one ending in a small nodule. These spokes are spaced with what appears to be deliberate mathematical precision at 15-degree intervals. The entire apparatus seems designed, engineered. There are no other similar objects anywhere in the vicinity. It is a singular anomaly. The first official explanation offered was underwhelming. Dr. A.F. Amos, who was on board the Eltanin, suggested it might be a sea sponge, specifically a carnivorous sponge. This explanation was initially dismissed by many. Sponges are typically amorphous, lumpy, asymmetrical. They are colonies of simple organisms, not feats of geometric engineering. The Eltanin antenna possessed a level of structural complexity and order that seemed completely at odds with our understanding of simple marine life. Furthermore, there was the problem of its placement. It was discovered perched atop a seamount, an underwater mountain. This elevated position is ideal for receiving or transmitting signals, a fact that was not lost on investigators. If you were to intentionally place a monitoring device in the deep ocean, this is precisely where you would put it, for maximum exposure to deep-sea currents and any potential acoustic or seismic data. Coincidence or design? The chief scientist of the expedition, Dr. Bruce Heezen, a respected oceanographer, was deeply intrigued. He famously remarked that the object was so unusual it could be a magnet for the kooks of the world. Yet he never publicly dismissed its strangeness. He admitted that the possibility of it being something more than a simple organism was tantalizing. The photograph was displayed at the New Zealand Oceanographic Institute with a caption that read, "It is anybody's guess what this object is." This is where the tension truly begins. On one hand, you have the rational, scientific mind seeking a biological explanation, however unlikely it seems. On the other, you have the undeniable evidence of the photograph itself, a structure that screams artificial. It was a paradox captured on film, an artifact from a world we thought we understood, challenging the very boundary between life and machine. The deeper they looked, the less sense it made. Part 3. Deepening the paradox. The story of the Eltanin antenna might have faded into academic obscurity if not for a handful of writers and researchers who refused to let it go. In the 1970s, authors like Brad Steiger, known for his work on unexplained phenomena, brought the mystery to a global audience. They argued that the scientific community was too quick to dismiss the most profound possibility, that this was an UPART, an out-of-place artifact. An UPART is an object of historical, archaeological, or paleontological interest found in a very unusual or impossible context. Think of the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek analog computer so complex it baffled historians for decades. The Eltanin antenna was presented as the ultimate UPART, not just from the wrong time, but from the wrong everything. It didn't seem to belong to any known timeline of life or technology on this planet. The argument for an artificial origin centered on features that biology struggled to explain. Why the 90-degree bends? Nature favors curves, spirals, and fractals, the paths of least resistance. Sharp right angles are hallmarks of intelligent design, of tools and construction. Why the perfect spacing? Such regularity hints at a purpose beyond simple survival. The theories became more and more elaborate. Was it a relic from a lost, technologically advanced civilization from our own distant past? A culture like Atlantis, swallowed by the ocean. The sea, leaving behind only its most durable deep-sea monitoring stations. Or did its origins lie not in our past, but in the stars? The idea that it was an extraterrestrial probe, silently monitoring the evolution of life on Earth from the planet's most inaccessible location, was an irresistible and terrifying thought. This is the core of the paradox. The object's very nature presents a logical dilemma. If it is natural, it is a freak of biology so perfectly ordered that it mimics technology. If it is artificial, it represents a technology so advanced and ancient that it rewrites human history, or even our planet's history. There is no easy answer. Both possibilities are, in their own way, completely mind-bending. The whispers of a forbidden theory. For decades, the debate raged in the fringes of science and in the heart of popular culture. The Eltanin antenna became a symbol of the unknown, a testament to the fact that we have not mapped all our monsters. But as our technology improved, as our ability to explore the deep sea grew more sophisticated, the mystery only seemed to deepen. We had better sonar, better submersibles, but the antenna's location was remote and the original coordinates were not precise enough for an easy rediscovery. It remained a ghost, a legend on a grainy photograph. But what if the answer wasn't about finding the object again, but about re-evaluating everything we thought we knew about life itself? The forbidden theory, the one that bridges the gap between biology and technology, isn't about ancient aliens or lost civilizations. It's about a fundamental principle of the universe. To understand what the Eltanin antenna most likely is, we have to grasp a concept that is just as strange as any extraterrestrial probe. The key lies not in who built it, but why it has that shape. Evolution is not a random process. It is a relentless optimization algorithm driven by the brutal logic of survival. Over millions of years, natural selection can produce solutions to environmental problems that are so elegant, so efficient, they appear to be intelligently designed. This is a phenomenon known as convergent evolution, where unrelated species independently evolve similar traits. Wings, for example, have evolved separately in birds, bats, insects, and pterosaurs because they are an effective solution to the problem of flight. The forbidden theory, then, is that the Eltanin antenna is not a piece of technology mimicking life, but a piece of life that has convergently evolved to mimic technology. It is a biological machine. But there is a twist. This explanation, while scientific, only opens the door to a more profound and unsettling mystery. And to finally unravel it, we have to look at the other strange discoveries made in the Antarctic abyss and piece together a puzzle that has been sitting in plain sight for 50 years. The promised payoff is at hand. The truth of the Eltanin antenna is not what you think it is, and it will change how you see the world. Part 5. The Promised Payoff. The revelation, when it came, was not from a UFO hunter or a rogue archaeologist, but from the painstaking work of marine biologists. In the decades following the Eltanin's discovery, our knowledge of the deep sea exploded. We found ecosystems thriving on volcanic vents, creatures that live without sunlight, and forms of life more alien than we could have ever conceived. And among them, we found more sponges. In 2013, a team of biologists officially described a species of carnivorous sponge called Chondrocladia concrescens, and it looked hauntingly familiar. This sponge, and others in its family, are not amorphous lumps. They have evolved a highly structured, symmetrical, radial architecture. They grow a stalk to lift themselves into the deep-sea currents, and from that stalk they sprout radial veins or branches covered in tiny hook-like spicules. This structure is not for communication. It's a death trap. The sponge is a passive hunter. It waits for tiny crustaceans and other small creatures to drift by on the currents. When they brush against its veins, they are snared by the microscopic hooks. The sponge then slowly envelops and digests its prey. Its antenna-like shape is the most efficient possible design for maximizing its surface area and filter feeding in the slow laminar flow of the abyssal currents. The 90-degree angles, the geometric precision, it's not intelligent design, it's evolutionary perfection. So, the Eltanin antenna is almost certainly a sponge, a living creature. Case closed? Not quite. To dismiss it as just a sponge is to miss the entire point. This isn't a debunking, it's a profound revelation. The fact that a simple living organism, through the blind process of natural selection, can construct a form that is indistinguishable from a complex piece of human or even non-human technology is in itself a mind-bending truth. It reveals a deep law of the universe. Efficiency has a shape. The optimal design for a filter-feeding apparatus in a deep-sea current happens to look exactly like the optimal design for a Vostok-type radio antenna. Form follows function, whether the designer is an engineer in a lab or the unthinking process of evolution over 1,000,000 years. The antenna wasn't a message from the stars. It was a message from the very mathematics of reality. Part 6. The Profound Conclusion. The mystery of the Eltanin antenna was never really about what the object was. The true mystery is about us. For 50 years, it acted as a perfect Rorschach test for humanity. When we looked into the abyss, we saw a reflection of our own technological dreams and fears. We saw probes and signals because we are a species that builds probes and searches for signals. Our minds are pattern-seeking machines, and in the antenna, we found the ultimate pattern. The fact that top scientists were genuinely stumped, that the debate raged for decades, proves something fundamental about the limits of our perception. We are trapped inside our own technological paradigm. We assume that complexity and order are the exclusive domain of intelligence. The Eltanin antenna teaches us that this is not true. The universe itself, through the simple laws of physics and biology, can generate a level of complexity that we mistake for conscious design. And this leads to the final profound thought. As we point our radio telescopes to the stars, listening for a signal from an intelligent civilization, what are we actually listening for? We're listening for patterns that stand out from the cosmic background noise, a repeating pulse, a mathematical sequence, but the Eltanin antenna proves that nature itself can create such patterns. What if the first alien signal we detect is not from a sentient being at all? What if it's the astrophysical equivalent of a deep-sea sponge? A pulsar whose spin and magnetic field just happen to create a signal that mimics a deliberate, engineered message. A cosmic coincidence so perfect, so elegant, that we spend centuries trying to decode a message that was never sent. The Eltanin antenna, the creature of the abyss, leaves us with this haunting question. How will we know the difference between a manufactured signal and a natural phenomenon that has simply evolved to the point of perfect technological mimicry? The greatest challenge in our search for intelligence may not be the silence of the universe, but its deceptive, overwhelming, and beautiful noise. The universe isn't sending us messages. It's presenting us with the ultimate test of our own wisdom.
The world is full of fascinating paradoxes, isn't it? We hope today's facts truly bent your mind. If you're ready for more daily revelations that challenge the norm, subscribe to Mindbenders. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a new video. Until next time, keep questioning.